Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ankylosing Spondylitis Reduce Your Pain podcast. My name is Sky Denton. If you have not met me yet, it is nice to meet you. If you've never listened to this show, I want to warmly welcome you. Today, Peter Winslow and I have a conversation around a topic that I imagine will come back around possibly several times in the future, because it's so important. It's a conversation around subject matter that profoundly has changed my life. And I'm really excited for you to learn more about it and experience how it can help you reduce your pain mentally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually. The subject is trust. Trusting in ourselves, trusting in life, trusting in the great unfolding of the universe, trusting in a way that helps us feel good. Peter mentions he feels that the universe has his back. And I have also gotten there. And when I feel that the universe has my back and I feel trust in life, I am so much more empowered as an individual. I am so much more grounded. I am less reactive and much more confident in my demeanor and in just how I live my life. As experts in the mind-body connection, Peter and I talk about this because it immediately affects our body's physiology. I know from firsthand experience that when I'm feeling that I trust life and the mysterious unfolding of it, even if it means that my truck's going to get a flat tire or something's going to fall off the counter and break, when those happen and I still trust the universe, I still feel good. The opposite of this is if you've ever been around someone who is very paranoid or very untrusting or very stressed out, their nervous system is running really high. It's running really hot. Those people tend to be a lot more reactive. And what I want you to experience in your life is less reactivity and more peace of mind, more confidence, more trust. Peter introduces his Winslow's Habits That Heal lesson number 23 today, and it's on this exact subject matter. So for now, that's all I'm going to preface. Let's get into the conversation right now. Hello, Peter Winslow.
Hey, Skylar, Big Sky, what's happening over there?
I'm just hanging out. It's snowy, it's winter time. I've been playing outside, being physical lately, trying to stay warm, and enjoying the beginning of a long winter here in Wyoming.
Might be in for a long winter's nap, huh?
Yeah. I am grateful, though, that I feel physically as good as I do, where I can live well in a cold climate. Because when I had AS, and you've experienced this too, I couldn't really live in a cold climate nearly as comfortably as I can now.
Oh, cold and damp were the antithesis of feeling good for me. That's why I lived in the desert so long. Nice, hot, dry climate was good for my back, my AS, and I like it. I'm still here now because I like it in this part of the world. But yeah, I can feel for people who are in cold and damp climates and have to deal with aches and pains.
Yeah. I think especially when people are really sensitive. I know that, once we get stronger, we feel more empowered, symptoms start to go away. We have a lot more freedom and we can move throughout the globe with a lot more ease and confidence. But when we're in pain and inflamed, the cold can be like that stabbing icicle into the joints.
So let's warm their hearts. Help them get stronger and clearer.
Yeah, and feel better. And that is, I think that our message is a heartwarming message. It's the people can feel better. They don't have to live in pain forever and be victimized.
Yeah, and they need to know that because not everybody's aware of it. And certainly the medical practitioners don't always know that that's the case because they don't have the solutions. They just have the way to fight and the way to treat the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody's aware that their lives can improve. They can do better and eventually overcome this condition of mind-body stress.
So in alignment with that, Peter, in my life, this has come up a lot recently, and it's trust. And I've noticed that the more I have developed my awareness around health and wellness, the more I've also started to trust my life, my body, and the universe more. I remember when I had a lot of pain, I didn't trust many things that were positive. I trusted mostly the things that were negative. But now, and with your help, I've recognized that the more trust I have in life, the more small things that happen, they don't affect me as much. Like a small issue with my car, or maybe it is something with my body that's annoying, some little flare up. If I trust that my life is good and that I'm on track, I'm not nearly as affected.
Well, absolutely. And what you're ultimately talking about is trusting yourself. There was a great German philosopher back in the 1800s. His name was Johann von Goethe. And Goethe said, as soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. As soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live.
Hmm.
So ultimately, trusting the world around us is about implicitly trusting ourselves to be okay in the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
There are many quotes from many different world leaders who've opined on the factor of trust and self-trust and what it means. But without it, you really got nothing. Relationships are based on trust. And if you can't trust yourself to make the right decisions, then your sanity and your wherewithal is based on your trust or lack therein.
Mm-hmm.
So trust is incredibly important in everyone's life. And I've said it here before in one of our previous podcasts that I've learned to trust everything. And I trust everyone. So how do I do that? I trust people to be who they are. That's what I trust. And I trust that I'm a good steward and a good judge of character. So if somebody tells me an untruth and lies to me, I trust them. I trust that they may lie again. That's what I trust. Because the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So I trust that. If someone steals from me, I trust that they may steal from me again. So I trust them rather than walk through life with my arms crossed on my chest saying, I don't trust them. I don't trust anybody. I can't trust the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that trust unburdens and lifts the load off my back in a way that nothing else can. And then the world is open to much more endeavor and possibility than it was before. So trust is absolutely essential. Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, said, he who does not trust enough will not be trusted himself. We have to trust ourselves and trust others to trust us in life, and ultimately trust the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the way things operate, the laws of the universe. And this is a big part of what I teach in my coaching practice, so that people get to that state of relief. I can trust this. So one of my habits that heal is based on trust. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's absolutely critical and essential for a happy and healthy and productive life and a useful life to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, trust ourselves.
And that's what it is. It's trusting that we're going to be okay. So for myself and for our audience, I really like to correlate this to stress. And someone who is trusting of themselves, and especially trusting of the universe as a whole, they have a lot less stress in their mind and in their body, which means that their immune system is healthier. They don't have as much inflammation versus people that are stressed out.
That's the whole equation right there of the mind-body continuum and how it operates in the case of autoimmune disorders, particularly in chronic conditions like chronic pain. It's stress at the root of it all. Unconscious, unfaced stress and issues that have happened to us in our past where on some deeper level of awareness, we don't feel like we can trust. We can't trust the world. We can't trust ourselves. We can't trust our relationships. And that's stressful. So once you eradicate and let go of that stress, everything changes. Everything changes for the better. And that's the mind-body aspect of healing from these chronic conditions. Letting go of the stress.
Okay, so a fun question for you. Right before this podcast, I was on an initial consultation call with a woman, and she was just asking questions. She had the wherewithal, she had the motivation to reach out and start seeking some guidance. So for that to even play out versus the alternative of her just not contacting me, do you feel like she has at least a little bit of trust in her body that she can do something about her situation?
Well, it absolutely has to be there, or else she wouldn't bother to do anything about it. Or she would go look for somebody else to heal her. And that's what most people are doing, and that's what we're taught to do in our Western culture. You know, if you get sick, where does healing come from? Healing comes from the doctor. When actually that's a misnomer. The healing actually comes from within us. Doctors offer treatment and external devices to be able to help us to heal, but healing is what we do ourselves internally. So this person that you consulted with must have known that at some level of awareness, that your message resonated with her and you were someone that she could begin to trust. And she couldn't have gotten to that level unless she had that intrinsically within her already. Does that help?
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because I do agree. There's something in my message of empowerment, of, hey, you can do something about this, that resonates true for her because she trusts herself. So I can look back at times when I was speaking with doctors and I trusted myself to figure out a different alternative. I trusted that I could find a better way than what they were telling me. And when you had that message for me, since I also trusted that in myself, it was a connect.
Because you trusted that there was a better message somewhere in the world. Somehow somebody somewhere knew the solution to what it is you were looking for. Seek and ye shall find.
Yeah.
You know, trust in the one who's already been there.
So that's like my trust in you.
Yes. I'd already done what it was you were looking to do. And become. I'd become that. So trust in the one who's already done it.
Yeah. And how about, Peter, how about trust in our bodies? This could be a really good conversation to have, because people in physical pain, they can be angry at their body. They can be frustrated with their body. They can be all the things, as both you and I know so well. What are your thoughts on learning to trust our body?
Well, the body knows exactly what to do to heal. People don't recognize that, and there can be complications and there can be exceptions. But the body is ultimately a healing machine. If you cut your finger, as we use as an example often on this podcast, you don't have to figure out how to fix and heal your finger. It just heals by itself because the body knows exactly what to do. There's a consciousness within us that's a healing source that knows exactly what to do and how to do it if we'll but let it operate the way that it works best. And to do that, we have to let go of the stress, which is what people do when they're hating their body, they're mad at their body, they're frustrated, as you put it. Then they get frustrated with something external as well. They're frustrated with the system, and ultimately they're frustrated with God, and they're mad at God, and how could this happen? And basically, that feels stressful. So they've got to let go and trust in the body, trust in the healing source within them. And that's what I teach people to do. Now, it's not that easy to explain it in a soundbite or a podcast. Much must be understood and learned about the nature of the human condition to get to that level of trust. But we're taking steps in that direction now and helping people move forward in a way that solves the issues at the rudimentary level and then goes deeper and helps them eradicate the conditions that they'd like to leave behind now and move into a new way of living in life. So they've got to trust and act. That's a quote by Ronald Reagan. President Reagan said, "Trust but verify." So trust and act accordingly. Act like a healthy person acts, do what a healthy person does. And you know that's what we coach people to do, because that's what the training program I put you through, and now you're helping others as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So Peter, can you give me a concrete example, just to sink this in, of something in your life that you developed trust around that helped you feel better?
Yeah, I came to realize that everything served me, that no matter what I was going through, there was a reason that was bigger than I was for my experiences. And that every experience had something to teach me, and every relationship was about growth for me. So I learned to trust, and then ultimately I learned the key to all this wisdom, which is the mantra and the ability to understand and relate to the fact that the universe has my back. That no matter what happens, I will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I may not know exactly what's going on and how it operates, but I know that it operates. The universe has my back, and that changes everything.
It does. That was a really good example. And that mantra of the universe has my back, I mean, how good does that feel? Like my whole body feels stronger and better
Everything changes.
and healthier when I say that and feel it. The universe has my back.
Yeah, and instead of trying to convince yourself, you have to know this.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I know.
Mm-hmm.
The universe has my back, no matter what. And all the crap, and I've been through a lot of crap, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know we all have. Some maybe more than others, and there's always somebody who's been worse off than we have. But what I'm concerned about now is with each individual. And I've been through a lot of crap myself as an individual, and I know that it all helped me become who I am meant to be on this planet in this incarnation. As Peter Winslow, what I'm doing here on this planet. And the universe supports me in every way when I would just allow it to and not block the beneficent powers of something larger than I am. Even if I don't understand it and don't know exactly what it's doing and how it's doing it, I know that it's there. The universe is there.
So before that, you also mentioned that everything can serve. That was something that you started to trust.
Everything does serve.
Everything does serve.
Everything serves. It may be just a small lesson that you need to learn at the moment, or it might just be, somebody that you met who you don't like their shoes, so you learn what shoes you don't like. But everything has a lesson, and everything serves in some way or another, whether we know it or not. We may not always know. See, that's what people say. They say, well, I don't understand it. I don't think that's true because I don't get it. That's not the point. You just have to trust and understand that everything has a purpose. And that's in my habit that heals that we're unveiling today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You taught me that everything serves, and I've never forgotten it. It's something that has stayed pretty high up in my practice, in my awareness. And I've noticed that it has helped decrease tremendous amounts of stress. So all of a sudden I'm like, okay, like what's the lesson from this? Instead of just fighting it, instead of just pushing back and being angry that my car broke down, I'm like, well, how does this serve? Well, it's teaching me patience or proper planning, or hey, like I should have had a spare tire with me and I knew better.
Excellent. Everything serves us. And when you get to that level of understanding that, your attitude changes, the stress is relieved, the body operates unequivocally, and everything gets better and better and better. And life becomes wondrous and beautiful, miraculous, all over again.
And that is one of the very specific models that I know that you have developed in your practice to help people transition or turn around from hating ankylosing spondylitis to understanding the lessons within it. And as they make those changes, exactly, become grateful, learn the lesson, their body gets better.
And that gratitude, the attitude of gratitude changes things for the better in the health of the body and mind. So this is all mind-body awareness, and it's all the same thing as we've always talked about, which is relieving stress. And so this is a mental, emotional, and spiritual awareness and understanding of practices that help the physical. So it becomes what we ultimately call transpersonal. It's about the person, and it's about what is bigger than the person. Transpersonal awareness. And then it doesn't matter if you have a little pain here or there. It doesn't bother you anymore. And that's a great relief and a great help. And then the body takes its cues from that, and the healing occurs more effectively. So you act more like a healthy person acts, you exercise more, you move more. And then you get to stage 2 of the Winslow way, which is to repair the damage that's been caused in the body from the condition that you've undergone. Ill condition, in this case, ankylosing spondylitis. You do that by rewiring the brain through the process of neuroplasticity. And it's much more easy to do when you're feeling good about yourself than when you're feeling hopeless and painful and stodgy and unsure and so forth and so on. So it all works together to relieve the stress, which then takes pressure off the immune system, which then rebuilds itself and repairs the damage in the body and mind.
And you said something I want to say something about before we introduce your habits that healed for today. And it's that the pain becomes less of a big deal. One example I use is, say we twist our ankle. It could hurt every day for 3 days. And all of a sudden, the 4th day, it still hurts, but not quite as bad. Day 7 and 8, maybe we don't notice until noon that our ankle hasn't been an issue that day. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh, okay, the ankle still hurts, but it's not as big of a deal. And with AS, when people get there, to what you said, is like the pain isn't as big of a deal. And then their neuroplastic changes start kind of rewiring and focusing from that reality, how quickly things can change.
That's exactly how it works. That's right. And it's such a welcome relief when people get to that stage where they say, I still feel a little bit of the pain, but who cares? It doesn't bother me anymore. And then now they've got confidence going forward that they can heal and that they can get better, and that's what rewires the brain. The beliefs and behaviors now change in a way that creates this healing internally, so we no longer need to address the symptoms externally and treat with medical devices.
Yeah, and when they stay there, they just keep getting better.
And it just gets better and better, and then one day you wake up and there's no pain.
Yeah.
That was my situation. Did you feel the same?
Yeah. I remember mentally starting to feel better because I trusted you. I started to really trust my path and trust my body and trust that I could heal. And all of that was helping me reduce stress. And then with proper movement, proper exercise, letting go of the low starch diet and nourishing my body properly, I physically began to feel better too. And just like we discussed, I remember when I would wake up and have some pain, but it just didn't really matter as much because
Who
life
cares?
was good. Yeah. I didn't really care. I was in love with my life. And with that reality setting in and becoming very concrete and real, the pain couldn't really stand a chance. The body's natural healing mechanisms were just too powerful. And I was putting my head intentionally in a much better place.
Yeah, and everything shall pass. So the pain goes away, the healing takes place, and then you become health, wealth, and happiness, love, joy, and peace of mind. And that leads to the great stages of life.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited to share your Winslow's Habits That Heal lesson number 23 today. The title is Stop Doubting and Start Trusting. And Peter says, if you doubt yourself or you lack trust and confidence, learn to choose otherwise. Start with this. Choose to believe that nothing is wrong with you because everything happens for a reason. This means that absolutely everything you have experienced has served you in some way or another, whether known or unknown to you. Every situation you encounter offers a valuable lesson, and this is what you can trust. And next, move from trusting to knowing. Knowing is actually a state of being. When you know, you no longer require hope or faith. You know that you know that you know. And we all subconsciously create and receive whatever it is that we know. Trust and confidence are the attitudes that see the process through to completion.
Says it all. Now, people don't realize that there are two states of the human condition as we know it. We are being and we are doing. We are human beings in the world. Trusting is both of those things. Trusting is doing, because what are you doing? You're trusting. Trusting is also being. What are you being? Trusting. And when you are, you're being in integrity and alignment with your highest and deepest function as a human being. You are trusting, and in turn, you become worthy of trust. So in time, people find that the world fully supports them in this way, and they come to know that the universe has their back, which is that realization that changes everything. Mm-hmm. Now, the opposite of trust is doubt, right? And a lot of people are feeling doubt in a lot of ways in their lives, maybe even doubting what we're talking about here in this message. Because doubt shifts our internal frequencies and stalls forward progress. But doubt doesn't really exist. This is the secret. Doubt is really just a state of confusion because we even doubt our own doubts. Nobody can be fully confident in their doubt. Because the fact is, if you don't doubt your doubt, it's not a doubt. It's a belief. Full doubt is no longer doubt. It's confidence. If you fully doubt something, then you become confident that it's not real. And when you're confident that your doubt is correct, it becomes a belief. So there's no such thing as doubt. So now we do what it takes to remove all doubt. And that's what I talk about in The Habit That Heals. We know that we know that we know. Trust and confidence are those attitudes that see this process through to its completion.
What you say about doubting our doubts is very interesting. So can you give me an example from your life, or maybe something you've seen me go through, of where, like, or the typical client or something, where like we're doubting something and then we doubt the doubt and then we transition to knowing?
So it's not exactly like that, but everybody doubts their own doubt already. That's why it's called doubt. It's like, I doubt it. I don't really know, but I doubt it.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I doubt it. So if you don't doubt your doubt, then it isn't doubt.
Okay.
It's belief. It's confidence. And when you're confident of your doubt, like, I doubt he's going to make it on time. In other words, I know he's not going to make it on time. That's no longer doubt. That's a belief. So doubt doesn't even actually really exist. But people use it against themselves all the time because it's a state of confusion. Now, confusion doesn't mean I don't know something. It's okay not to know something, and there are plenty of things that we don't know. But confusion means I don't know something, and I'm supposed to know it. That's what confusion is. There's something I don't know that I'm supposed to know. And that's what leads to doubt. So people are doubting that they can heal. They're waiting for somebody else to prove it to them. We've got the proof in the pudding right here. We've got plenty of people we've worked with, and including ourselves, who've overcome ankylosing spondylitis and addiction and depression and all the other conditions that come along with it. Mm-hmm. And so there's no doubt in our minds about what's possible for everyone who does this. And if I can do it, you can do it too, because we're all humans being and doing who we are in this world. There's lessons to be learned, and there's a process to be understood. And once you get that knowingness, that's the confidence that leads you to the next stage of awareness where healing is possible. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not talking about healing from bone cancer here. We're just talking about autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune conditions can easily be overcome if you get into the right perspective and the right beliefs and behaviors. Mm-hmm. But because medicine doesn't go to your beliefs and behaviors, And they don't talk about that. They simply talk about how to get rid of the pain for temporarily, and then do it again, take the medication again and again as needed. We have to do this mental and emotional work for ourselves. And that's the mind-body complex, and that's what's missing in the medical paradigms of the Western system.
I really like how you conclude this when you say that we subconsciously create and receive whatever it is that we know. So I think about the world that you and I live in of AS coaching, having done it ourselves, seeing other people do it. It's like, it's so real for me. It's not, there's no doubt. Like there's zero doubt that people can transform their lives. So I guess that's where, almost to answer my own question of where a realistic example of where someone transformed from doubting to knowing to knowing to knowing is me of being like pretty sure I could heal, just knowing like on some level it would like be there, but I hadn't discovered it yet. So I had a little bit of doubt. And now I just absolutely know, as do you.
Because doubt is ephemeral. It doesn't really exist. It vanishes in the face of knowingness. It's like shining light into a dark space. If you have a dark closet and you turn on the light, what happens to the dark? It vanishes. It's no longer there. It's the same with confidence and doubt. True confidence and its effect on doubts. Again, doubts don't even exist because we doubt our own doubt. It's just a state of confusion.
Yeah. It's
Isn't
so
that
interesting.
funny?
Yeah. And I'm like in my brain, I'm running through these scenarios that played out in the last 2 days or so of where I might have been doubting something. And you're right. Like all of a sudden it would vanish once I would think a different thought.
Shine the light.
Shine the light, have some little breakthrough or have a light bulb go off or forget about it. And all of a sudden doubt would leave because
It
it doesn't
evaporates.
exist. Yeah.
But people cling to it and hold on to it because they think it protects them. Like, I doubt if he's going to treat me well. And they hold on to that doubt because they're trying to protect themselves. Meanwhile, they're protecting themselves right out of the best of life. And they don't understand how that's working against them in creating what it is that they'd really like to experience. So what we know that we know that we know, we create in our lives. If I know that I'm really good at playing basketball, then I create more of that. I create how good I am at basketball. Really, regardless of how good I actually am, it's what I know, and I create more of it. Mm-hmm. If I know that I'm wealthy and that I attract wealth effortlessly, then I create more avenues for that to happen, more channels of flow to come into my life. Mm-hmm. If I know that I know that I know that I am loved, then I feel that love and I operate according to that love. And I allow it to feel good and transport me to a higher level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. What we know that we know that we know, we create in our lives. So when people doubt, they create that in their lives as well. More to doubt.
It's a good example of where we're putting our energy. If we're putting our energy into things that we trust, or are we putting our energy into things that we doubt?
Energy flows where our attention goes. And that's exactly what's happening here. So people are doubting if they can get better. Stop doubting. Start trusting. Everything has a message. Everything serves. Trust that.
Peter, with the last 3 or 4 minutes we have here, I would love for you just to kind of recap what you just said. Like, the people can stop doubting themselves and start trusting in their body and their life and numerous things that are popping up in their life instead of just focusing on the doubt. And one thing I want to say here too, that I love that in the first sentence of this, you say, if you doubt yourself or you lack trust and confidence, learn to choose otherwise. So you're highlighting the fact that a lot of this is a choice.
Absolutely right. It's all a choice. We always have a choice. Everybody's heard that. There's always a choice to make. Will I see the glass as half full or half empty? It's always a choice. And we ourselves determine what that choice will be and what will happen as a result. Although people don't understand their own powers as human beings to do such a thing. They believe that the world determines who they are and what they're going to receive, and so forth and so on. And that's what becomes victimization for people. So there was a great spiritual teacher in the 20th century named J. Krishnamurti.